everybody. Today, I'm asking if you like this show, would you head over to iTunes and leave a review? Just go to coolcatteacher.com/iTunes, and it will take you to the show on iTunes. And you can give it stars, or even better, if you leave a rating. It really does make a difference, and it helps other teachers find the show. Thanks. School Counselors, Helping More Women Go into Computer Science, Episode 254.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
Today, we're talking with Angela Cleveland. She was 2017 New Jersey State School Counselor of the Year. But now she's working with school counselors across the United States, helping them help girls go into IT. And she's co-founder of Reining It. So, Angela, how do we help counselors advise women or young girls to take a look at IT and computer science?
In terms of young women, school counselors and really all educators can help young women and really all of our students learn more about computer science and technology by thinking about how it intersects with every area of interest. So it can mean just taking a look around at our world and thinking about, this is something interesting. How was this created? Someone had to invent this app that's on my phone, or this is solving a certain problem. And how did that process take place? So really thinking about how computer science affects every area of interest, whether it's art or history or fashion or sports, it's there somewhere. And when we start to see that intersection as educators, we can have those conversations with our students.
Now, we're not talking about encouraging a girl who may not be a good fit for that, but we are talking about having an open mind, right?
Right. An open mind is really key. So sometimes we have to check our own bias about who we think is right for computer science. So in our society, there may be a certain perception that it's maybe someone who's very quiet, who likes to work alone. It may be a male. It may be someone who's very good at math or science. And a lot of those, if not all of those, are really myths about who is right for computer science. Today, people are working in groups. There's a concept called pair programming, where students work together and on a coding activity. Computer science is about problem solving. So the biggest predictor of who's going to be successful in computer science is someone who likes to solve problems. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a strong math or science background, but that you have an inquisitive and curious mind. So if you have a student who likes to solve puzzles or they like doing Sudoku, that's somebody who would be great for computer science. All of our students have this great ability to pick up on what may be some problems in our society and talking to students about, well, how would you fix that? Especially using technology, how could you address that problem? So that's really important. For school counselors, what's key is school counselors have the ability to look at the demographics of the school, to look at where students are going in terms of course placement. They can look at, is there a gender gap in our computer science class? Or, we're running this after school club and we're noticing that it's all the same types of students are gravitating toward this club. So school counselors have this ability to look at the system as a whole and to support students. One of the most effective things that school counselors can do is to encourage young women to explore a club or a computer science class with a friend. So just having someone else in there who's like them, who they feel comfortable with, is really important. We find that there's a lot of success with just having a friend in the class with you.
So you've already named one mistake, which is not to stereotype and not to think that they have to just be, a loner or that sort of thing. Are there any other common mistakes that you think end up not helping young girls the way we should?
Right. So sometimes it has to do with the environment that students are going into in terms of the classroom, the actual setting itself. So when school counselors, we've talked to them across the country, and what they do is they'll go into a computer science class and they can look around and you can get a sense of, just from the posters that are on the wall, is this an inclusive environment? Is there a fair representation of all people? So if you're a young woman going into a computer science class and you look around and you see posters with Mark Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates, you start to maybe get an idea that, this is a field for white males. And it would be as simple as just having more representation in the classroom that show women that there are people who are doing this job and they're in this industry and they are just like you and they have a background similar to you.
That's so important to show girls and give them, models. I mean, in my classroom, we talk, of course, about Augusta Ada Byron Lovelace, who was the world's first programmer.
Yes.
And just realizing, how many women, diversity is really part of the computer science revolution. What are some resources that counselors can access that will help them in this area? Because, some counselors I know feel awkward talking about computer science because, they're not really very technical themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question, and I get asked that quite frequently. So I'm going to share with you one of my favorite resources. It's completely free and very accessible. It's a magazine called Careers with Code, and if you go to their website, and we can put that in the show notes, you can download a magazine that they have. It's totally free to download. You can also order some copies of it. What's great about this magazine is they lead with this concept called CS, which stands for Computer Science, plus X. And X is any area of interest. They have really fun personality quizzes in there, and they talk about how whatever you're interested in, if you're interested in pop culture, if you like to keep up with the Kardashians, there is a career in computer science for you. They really demystify what computer science is, how it affects all of these different areas of interest, how it's changing the world. And then there's extension activities. You can go onto the Careers with Code YouTube channel and you can see more interviews with the people who are featured. It's a really great resource, and I think especially for counselors to see that there are different pathways to computer science, that it's, not so linear, pun intended, where people start at a young age, coding in their basement. Oftentimes with young women, they come into computer science because there's something they're interested in, there's a problem they want to solve, and technology provides a pathway for them to solve that problem.
So, Angela, as we're recording this recently, you were at Georgia Tech working with about 70 counselors in this area. What are counselors saying about the conversations they're having with kids, particularly girls, about this topic?
So when we meet with school counselors, one of the things that we share out is about the data regarding bachelor's degrees that are being conferred in this country and the number of jobs that are available. And this is something that really resonates with school counselors because we're very much focused on graduating students to go into post-secondary education, the military, or the world of work, and to have sustainable careers. And when we look at the data, we have the majority of degrees being conferred in the social sciences, but there aren't enough jobs in this country for someone who just has a degree in the social sciences. And the reverse is happening in computer science. So sometimes when we're talking about STEM, we're looking at, science, technology, engineering, and math, but really 50% of the jobs that are coming up in the STEM fields are in the computing industry. And there are so many jobs available and not enough people with those backgrounds. So when we talk to school counselors about, ultimately, as I said, our goal is to graduate students to have sustainable careers and to be happy and to have rewarding careers. The way for them to do that is to think about how whatever their area of interest is, how it's being transformed by technology. And that will prepare them to enter a major or to enter a workforce.
And are counselors feeling overwhelmed by all of this change?
I think it's something that really resonates with what school counselors believe in. It's really tied to our ethical code as school counselors. We're in a very unique profession where not only are we addressing change with individual students, supporting that individual child, but we're also, as school counselors, part of our responsibility, which many people don't know about, is looking at a system, and whether it's our educational system in our district or looking bigger picture, and making sure that we are providing optimal learning environments and equitable educational access to all of our students. This is at the heart of what school counselors do. And when they see that there's a way for them to achieve this goal and support their students, it actually feels very accessible to them. It takes a problem that feels very big and it provides a pathway for them to support students with something as simple as, hey, here's a computer science class. Why don't you and a friend sign up together and I'll make sure you're in this class?
Well, school counselors and everyone listening, the counseling job is such an important job. And there are also many times that us teachers of high school kids, we kind of find ourselves wearing a little bit of a counselor's hat. Maybe not quite as much, but kids will come to us. And I think that we've heard some very important concepts to encourage all of our students to take a look at STEM jobs, at IT jobs, and to kind of have an open mind about things, because we do want our students to be successful and live successful lives. And part of that equation is not only building relationships and living healthy lives, but also finding a career that they love, that's a successful career for them. So take a look at these resources, and I'm particularly interested in the Careers with Code magazine. I'll be sharing that with my students, and I do want you to check the show notes for that. As I said before the show started, it really does help if you leave a review. So if you go to coolcatteacher.com/iTunes and leave a review, I really do appreciate it. And I also appreciate it when you tell your friends. One tip, a lot of people don't know that if you go to the show notes for any of these episodes, so today is episode 254. So you would go to coolcatteacher.com/e254. And you can go to the show notes. But if you look at the little player that I've embedded, there are two little brackets. And if you click that, you can actually embed any show you want on your own blog, your own website. You can share the links to those and just share it far and wide. You can even download a copy of the show if you want to send it to others. So I've put it out there for you, and I hope it's useful.
Thank you for listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. You can download the show notes and see the archive at coolcatteacher.com/podcast. Never stop learning.